You ever look at your life and think, this wasn't in the brochure? Like, God? Hello? Did you forget about me somewhere between the promise and the promotion? That's exactly where Joseph found himself, more than once. Betrayed, enslaved, imprisoned. And yet, his story became one of the most powerful examples of how Romans 8:28 plays out in real time. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Sounds beautiful, but what does that actually mean when your life looks like a dumpster fire? Let's start with what Romans 8:28 doesn't say. It doesn't say all things are good. It doesn't say your heartbreak will magically reverse. And it definitely doesn't promise a Disney ending. It says all things work together, like ingredients in a recipe you wouldn't eat raw. Think flour or raw eggs, bitter, bland, painful alone. But mixed, heated, and processed, something new forms, something good. Cue Joseph, the poster child for divine detours. He had a dream. A literal, God-given vision of greatness. And how did his story kick off? He gets yeeted into a pit by his jealous brothers, sold into slavery like an old pair of sneakers. Welcome to the will of God, folks. Now, imagine you're Joseph. You're in a foreign land. You're doing your best. You rise to the top of Potiphar's household. And then, bam, you're falsely accused. Prison. Again. It's like every time Joseph starts to climb, life punches him in the throat. But here's the plot twist. God never left him. In fact, every step, the betrayal, the slavery, the prison, was part of the process. Not punishment, preparation. Romans 8:28 isn't a verse about happy endings. It's about holy outcomes. God isn't just fixing our messes. He's orchestrating them into meaning, even when we can't see it, even when it feels like he's ghosting us. Let's talk about timing. Joseph waited over 13 years before he saw anything remotely close to the dream. 13 years of, why is this happening? 13 years of, God, are you sure you're good? That's not a quick fix. That's a slow burn redemption. And when it finally happened, Joseph didn't just get promoted. He saved a nation. He reunited his broken family. He became the fulfillment of a promise he probably gave up on. But here's the kicker. He wouldn't have gotten there without the pit, the prison, the pain. This is Romans 8:28 in the flesh. God doesn't promise a pain-free path, but he does promise that every crooked step will be woven into a bigger story, a better story, his story. Let's get real. Some of us are in the pit phase. Some of us are stuck in the prison, emotionally, financially, relationally. And the worst part, we're told to trust the process while the process feels like slow death. But Romans 8:28 isn't optimism. It's not good vibes only. It's a battle-tested promise from a God who writes endings better than we ever could. And it's only for those who love him, who stay with him, even when they don't understand him. Joseph could have walked away. He could have turned bitter, but he chose faith again and again, even when it made no sense. And in the end, he tells his brothers something wild. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. That's not poetic, that's prophetic. So if you're staring down unanswered prayers, closed doors, or years of delay, remember Joseph. He didn't know what God was doing, but he trusted who God was, and that was enough. Romans 8:28 isn't just a verse. It's a verdict that your story isn't over, even when it feels like it's unraveling. Because if God could turn a slave into a ruler, what might he be building out of your ruins?